Hello, you guys. Welcome to the My Little Pony and the Uprising of the Crystal Empire movie story. Now, before we get started on the story of the movie, let's get started on talking about the story of the flashback. Now, before we get to that, before we get to the flashback, I gotta say that the flashback is not actually part of the movie. It happened off camera before the start of the movie. Of course, you guys get what I'm saying, right? Okay. Alright, so the flashback starts off with Twilight ruling, and she had now ruled for about I would say, I don't know, it depends how long. Like, this is even longer than after Luster Dawn had started her mission. Twilight, like, it depends, like, in the future, like, how many years later was when Luster Dawn showed up, but this happened, she ruled a little bit more than Luster Dawn. She ruled a little bit more than Luster Dawn, starting her mission after showing up to meet Twilight. But what I'm saying is that this flashback happened a couple years after Luster Dawn left to start her mission. So, what we get to talk about is that Twilight, while ruling, of course, you guys know her advisor, Spike. He has to do almost everything she says, and the knights, technically guards, guards. Her guards, the guards that work at the Equestria Palace Castle, whatever you call it. I don't have time to look up the stuff in My Little Pony, but it's that castle in Equestria. The guards that work with Twilight in the castle, they have to do as she tells them to as well. But, well, mostly, no. Well, yes, mostly because she tells others what to do. Like Spike, what to do as well. Like that other person to tell what to do. And even other people that are not her advisor. And the guards that work at the castle where Twilight is at. But I gotta tell you this, that Twilight, or should I say Princess Twilight, she sentences a lot of people to death, and the right grammar of the sentence is sentence. She sentenced a lot of people to death. Yeah. And the reason why I'm saying people is because there are a few creatures that are not only just ponies in Generation 4. Same thing as Generation 5 with the little creatures and possibly the first 3 generations that I've never really watched. But anyway, let's still talk about the flashback. Twilight, after she sentenced a lot of ponies and critters to death by obliteration of magic, like, because alicorns and unicorns, they fire, like, it's called a unicorn squad or an alicorn squad, or it could be both alicorns and unicorns lining up and firing at the criminals or one criminal. It can be just a line of unicorns, and it can also just be a line of alicorns, but sometimes there can be a line of both unicorns and alicorns, but only the guards are allowed to do that. Or, actually, once they're not guards, can be hired by the ruler to do the execution. Or be hired by the advisor to do the execution. Heck, or actually, I could cuss. Hell, there could be, what I mean by saying hell, I mean, hell, there could be also an advisor to be hired by a ruler to do the execution. But, what we can also talk about is that After a lot of people heard about the assassination, I mean, not assassination, of the executions, because they get, oh yes, why they get executed? Because of high criminal stuff, because they try to overthrow Twilight, try to kill her, and even kill Twilight's guards, and they can be sentenced to death for that. And some of them did not like what Twilight did, and they say that Twilight is a tyrant over imprisoning a lot and sentencing a lot. I mean, sentence a lot of people to prison and sentence a lot of people to death. And they say that they call her like a princess tyrant or a tyrant princess. No, tyrant princess is more of what you say in the grammar. Yeah, that's the right way of saying it. Not princess tyrant. But they try to kill Twilight because of her being a tyrant. But not only that is happening, we also get to the Crystal Empire, where the ruler Flurryheart, after Shining Armor and Princess Cadence had retired, they decided to give the throne to Flurryheart, so that way she can rule the Crystal Empire and keep the Crystal Empire in peace. But instead, Flurryheart is the one that's actually a tyrant. Well, actually, Twilight is a tyrant too, but she has to make a sacrifice over killing people to death. I mean, killing people. I don't know why I'm saying killing people to death. I meant killing people and sentencing people to prison. Like, those are the... Killing people to death is the wrong grammar of the sentence. I meant killing people, and she has to make a sacrifice over killing a lot of people and sentencing a lot of people to prison. But Flurryheart is the actual villain, that she actually is trying to send a war to Twilight and try to destroy her because of Twilight being a tyrant. And Flurryheart technically is a tyrant too, over killing a lot of people and sentencing a lot of people to prison. And but there's also a good side of her, that not only that she is focusing on the war and having her daughter, Love Crystal, I call her Love Crystal. She's gonna put Love Crystal on the throne after only if she kills Twilight Sparkle, she will put her daughter on the equestrian throne. But not only that, there's something that happened that during the flashback. Now I don't know when this happened, but she earlier, but this happened way before that. She is friends with the twin cakes, Pound Cake and Pumpkin Cake. Yes, I'm going to be talking about the relationship with Pound Cake and Flurryheart. That, before Pound Cake became her, became her, prince consort, you can say prince consort as well, he would come in the castle, he would be friends with Flurryheart before he would be invited to come to the castle and give treats out for the parties. And same thing by being friends with Pumpkin Cake before being invited to the castle. And they even be invited to the castle while she is ruler. But they had no idea that she became a tyrant until they got angry with her later. But But what also happened in the story is that Pound Cake married Flurry Heart anyway. And that's when they had the child Love Crystal. Flurry Heart decided to name that, and while they were married, and while Pound Cake was his prince consort, was her prince consort, she started becoming more of a tyrant, and like I said before, that's when they got angry at her. The twin cakes got angry with her, and even the kid was scared. And but they still try to stop her, but they mostly just focus on eating treats, and when the twin cakes focusing on eating treats is what I'm talking about. That's what I meant to say. They started eating treats, and Pumpkin Cake and Pound Cake died from getting choked by eating a lot of treats. And Flurry Heart was sad, and that not only that she needs to focus on the war, but she also needs to focus on needing a new prince consort. So she had chosen Sandbar, because Sandbar is the only one at that point. From at that point, the only young adult stallion, or middle age. He possibly has eye bags now, but I know that you didn't see Sandbar with eye bags in the future episode, like as him as the older I was about to say Pound Cake. The older Sandbar. Like, I know you don't see the eye bags of the older Sandbar, but that's what I meant to say. But this is a few years after Luster Dawn started her journey, and Sandbar is. I think this is when Sandbar has his eye bags. Or maybe not, who knows. But anyway, what I'm saying about Sandbar is that he's the only young adult or middle-aged stallion who is like young enough to become Flurry Heart's lover and prince consort, while the others are too young to be her prince consort. But I know that there are other young adult stallions and middle-aged stallions that are young enough to be her prince consort. But Sandbar is the only known young adult or middle-aged adult stallion that is young enough to marry her and become her consort. And also, he's the easy suggestion for her to pick. For now, until someone that she knows will grow up into a young stallion. I was about to say a stallion. I meant young. I was about to say young a stallion. I meant young stallion. What I meant to say is that he is the easy one for her to pick now. From that point, well, they're dead now. They're dead now because this is like years later to Generation 5. But what I'm saying, from that point, he was the easy one for her to pick until a young stallion will grow up into an adult stallion for that stallion to become her prince consort after Sandbar dies. So, anyway. Another thing about Sandbar is that he had been plotting to kill Twilight. He was one of the few people that actually plotted to kill Twilight. There are some few people from year by year, like a few people every year to kill Twilight. even though Senbar is friends with Twilight, she makes a sacrifice over putting him to prison, but he still plots to kill Twilight while he's in prison by sending some people out of prison. I mean, that are from out of prison to kill Twilight. But but Twilight still it was living. Well, I don't know if Twilight is still living in Generation 5 because we don't see her around Generation 5. She might be possibly dead or not, but we don't know that for sure. We don't know that for sure as of April 19th, 2023. But we do have canon proof that what's his name? Discord is still alive. Because we found out about that in the comics. And not only the comics is canon, but the backstory I'm talking about and the movie I will talk about and even the aftermath of the movie is all canon because the Generation 4 series is over. Now, more into this flashback that the changelings, there are a group of changelings that try to overthrow Twilight, and that way they can release Senbar, and for him to become Flurry Heart's consort, and for Love Crystal to become the new ruler of Equestria. But that has not happened yet. And most likely never will because Twilight always wins. Oh yes, and during the wars that had happened during the wars in her lifetime that happened after possibly before Luster Dawn started her journey and most likely after Luster Dawn started her mission, because as of Twilight being a tyrant, there might have been wars. No, you know what? Before Luster Dawn started her mission and after she started her mission, there were wars that were going on, and Twilight always wins, and Spike even helps her and wins the war every time, and tries to help the guards do something because they're more powerful with the power of friendship than Flurry Heart's team. You get what I'm saying by that? Anyway, now that since the flashback ends with some people plotting to kill Twilight, now I don't mean a lot of people, I meant a few people or some people at a time, several people at a time, whatever, like each a year is trying to kill Twilight. But in this movie, this is all happening in 1 year. This is all happening that same year, and during the previous wars that happened during the past years. But now let's get started on talking about the movie. We're gonna start with the movie starts off with the Crystal Empire, and it shows Princess Flurry Heart praying and trying to have her hopes after losing so many times in the battles with Twilight. Now, I'm going to explain to you guys that what she is praying about, it's not about Jesus and God. They don't know what that is. This is a different universe. This is a different dimension. Unlike our dimension, we worship God. But but not only just Flurry Heart, but the other ones in her universe, they worship an Alicorn goddess. And she's trying to have hopes to destroy this princess of Equestria. So, so after we have a scene of her worshiping and praying at the Alicorn goddess, we then get to the scene where she has her guards lined up, stacked in a row, stacked in a few teams in a row, like the Elizabeth the Golden Age movie. Because remember, like I said before, well, this is filmed before the announcements video that this is all based on the Elizabeth the Golden Age movie. And what happened is that while they're talking about no, not talking about the guards are just standing there. They're not talking about anything. They're just they're in their position, and while they're at their position, this scene where the camera moves slowly to Flurry Heart walking to her daughter, who is still a kid. Her daughter, who is still a kid, Love Crystal, she is saying something like this. Now, before I say the quotes, I'm saying they're saying stuff that are most likely in the movie of Elizabeth the Golden Age. But it is mostly different, or some of them is different because of different words of the characters in My Little Pony, along with the different characters. I mean, while they're, I'm not saying, I did not mean to say along with. I meant while you have the different characters in the movie Elizabeth the Golden Age. Now let's get back to the scene where Flurry Heart walks up to her daughter, and Flurry Heart says something like this: "Come, my daughter, Love Crystal. Like I said before, my daughter." Or she would most likely say this: "Like I said before, my sweetheart, Equestria is in big danger by this tyrant princess, Twilight Sparkle. Like I said before as well, that I must have you on the equestrian throne after destroying this princess. Come on, guards, open the doors. We must set her free to show everyone, the people in the crowd of the Crystal Empire, my daughter, Love Crystal." Okay, what I'm trying to say about what she said, something like she's trying to show the people her daughter, Love Crystal, because the people want to see her. It's like the same thing like the Windsors, where they walk up to the balcony and you could see the family on the balcony. You get to see the family on the balcony. That's the same thing what Flurry Heart is doing with Love Crystal. Now, when she showed Love Crystal up to the balcony, the people started cheering at Love Crystal. Well, Flurry Heart is actually in the doors, looking at Love Crystal at the balcony. She's smiling at the crowd. Love Crystal smiling at the crowd, but she's actually the whole time she's holding the doll of Twilight Sparkle, because she loves Twilight Sparkle and she doesn't talk. She's shy. And so we get to the camera slowly pins down to the doll of Twilight Sparkle, of what Love Crystal is holding. And then that's where we cut to the scene of the real Twilight Sparkle. One of the knights, or guards as well, knights and guards. Well, actually, technically guards. It's guards. Not every guard is a knight. Or actually, yes, it's actually the same thing. Knights and guards are the same thing. But what I'm saying is that one of the guards of Twilight Sparkle in that castle that are working with her is saying this. Why do you go by the creatures, Your Majesty? I don't even think... I'm gonna start all over. Why do you go by the creatures, Twilight? Or, no. Something more like this. Why do you go by the creatures, Princess Twilight? I think plainly you will be murdered. Sorry. Why do you go by the creatures, Twilight? Why do you go by the creatures, Princess Twilight? I think plainly you will be murdered. Some creatures are a potential assassin. And then another guard was saying this. There is another war coming that we must focus on. Again, by Flurry Heart. And we must do something. We must have time to prepare for a war before they come. And then the same guard, the first guard that was talking was saying, well, I never thought about this before, but the first guard that was talking is can be guard number 1 because it's the first guard talking, and you got guard number 2 talking about the war. And we get back to guard number 1 saying this. The Crystal Empire speaks openly of Senbar as Flurry Heart's future prince consort. And guard number 2 says this. The Crystal Empire also decides to have you destroyed so that way they could put Flurry Heart's daughter on the equestrian throne. And then Twilight was saying something like this. How many criminals are there in Equestria, my guards? And one of them was... And the guard number 2 was saying this, that... we have no idea. We have no idea, but usually most likely several every year during your reign. And then Twilight would say something like this. What would you have me do? Obliterate them? Or just imprison them? And then guard number 1 would say something like this. We must act, Princess. Our only hopes are to try to make peace of Equestria. And then Twilight says this. If my people break the law, they shall be punished. Until that day, they are to be left alone by me. And then guard number 2 says this. Princess Twilight, we have fear and proof reasonable that people out there are trying to, and then, like, as he was trying to finish, saying something like that, Twilight interrupts him by saying, fear creates fear. I am not dangerous. I am not weak over the danger, sir. But I will not punish my people for their beliefs, only for their deeds. Well, actually, she would say something like this, because this is in Equestria, they're mostly good guys, not like in real life, and not like based on real life in Elizabeth the Golden Age movie. Twilight would say something like this. But I will not punish my people. Creatures. The whole time they would say creatures. But I will not punish my creatures for their attempts. Only when they actually do it. But I'm sure my creatures love their ruler. And And then Angie continues on saying something similar, than Elizabeth said in the Golden Age movie. So then we get to cut to the scene where the dungeons, and and that's where Twilight's other guards work at this prison to keep the criminals from escaping. And we get to see Yona coming in like Yona coming into prison because this is where Sandbar is imprisoned. Sandbar is actually having his own household. Like he's having his own luxury there. Like Mary Queen of Scots in Elizabeth the Golden Age. Sandbar is in the luxury imprisonment along with his friends coming to see him just so he doesn't have to be alone. Silverstream, Smolder, and of course Yona. I didn't mean to say and because there's another friend, Yona. Of course Yona because she is his girlfriend. And even as a prisoner, even Sandbar is still a prisoner, she is still his girlfriend. And how do you pronounce this name? I'm gonna pause this video and this changeling, I'm gonna see how you pronounce this name, and I'll be right back to talking about more of this story. Okay, so I just looked it up, and it's Ocellus. Ocellus is also there in prison, and they, Yona comes in and gives a message from the Crystal Empire, and, Yona's like, here you go, my love. I mean, I don't know if I said this right. Yona is the one saying this, here you go, my love. And he goes up there, to the room and tries to, just so he can read it, like, open it and read it. He reads it, and Sandbar says, our friends write to give us hope. And Yona says something like this, And soon, Equestria's true believers will rise up against the tyrant Princess Twilight and destroy her. And then Sandbar turns around and says to Yona, that's enough. Wait a minute. Destroy Twilight? Please keep going. And then Yona says this, and when that tyrant Princess Twilight Sparkle is dead, you will be Flurry Heart's consort. And then we get to the next scene where Twilight is, along with her people, going around talking and along with her is Drakis, a character that I made up. Drakis is a pink dragon, and you'll see more about her later. You'll hear more about her later. Well, see and hear about her, like, when you see it, you can picture it in the story, is what I'm saying. But while, Twilight, while Twilight is with Drakis, or will be with Drakis, she sings a song, and talking about her people and stuff, and while Drakis is coming along with Twilight, she sings with her as well. Drakis sings with Twilight as well, is what I'm saying. And, after the song is over, they go into pray for their religion into a place where they pray in, and Twilight is Actually, I'm gonna also look at this up and to get all these six right, because this is what I'm about to say about what Twilight would say something. I mean, would say something like almost the exact words of saying this. Okay, never mind. I don't have to say this. Like, I don't have to add that in the story. Add this in the story when Twilight. Well, I was about to say that Twilight was about to say not only that we need six of the elements of honesty, generosity, and the others. We also need courage as well. But no, Twilight would not do that. She would accept that there's only six elements of harmony, and and let's see. Twilight, like, unlike here, I'm getting the courage idea from the Elizabeth of the Golden Age, but instead of Twilight saying all that, she's just praying along with Dracus by praying to the Alicorn goddess over hopes about having peace with Equestria and having hopes to have peace with Equestria, having peace in Equestria after the war is over, like having hopes of that in the future. But in the next scene, we get we go back to the Crystal Empire, and Flurry Heart is with this assassin, talking with this assassin, and Flurry Heart was saying this to herself, like, Twilight Sparkle, why do you have to take so much power? As I do. I am jealous that I'm not the only one. And then the assassin, like, that's what Flurry Heart would say something like, but as we get to the assassin, I'm sorry, I'm not saying assassin. I'm not saying Flurry Heart as the assassin. I just realized that I might have not said, or I don't always have to say this, that they say something like, because they would say something like that. But he well, I was trying to reason why I'm saying assassin, because I'm getting to the assassin, what he would say. Actually, before I get to what he would say, I need to go and look up and try to find that name that I made up again, because it's another made up character, the assassin changeling, who is the leader of the changeling assassins, trying to plot to destroy Twilight. So hang on. Clandestine. It's clandestine, and it's one of the assassin names, but it's like a name for an assassin, and clandestine is a changeling of the leader of the changelings of one group of the changelings of one group of the assassin changelings. That's what I'm talking about. The assassin leader of the one group of the assassin changelings, but he's not the only leader. There were the past many leaders of the changelings and many leaders of the assassin groups, like many other species leaders of the assassin groups that during the past years of Twilight's rule. But what 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 is it? The name again? Clandestine was saying something like this: "My time has come, Your Majesty. Send me back to Equestria to beacon the goddess's work, and or to beacon Alicorn goddess's work." They believe in the goddess is giving hopes, but the Alicorn goddess is actually nice. Well, you can say goddess or Alicorn goddess either way, but the Alicorn goddess is actually nice. And not giving them dangerous hopes. But same thing as God, and same thing as Jesus. But, well, same thing as God and Jesus in our world, not in their world. Like, it's the same thing as the Alicorn goddess in their world. Like, in their universe. You get what I'm saying about that? Even the ones that are dead, like the ones that are dead in our world, we could still count them as being our world, because it's still they were still alive in our universe, and heaven is part of this universe. Like, well, part of every universe. Part of our universe in heaven is part of all the other universes and all the other heaven universes of the universes where the people die, where the characters die in those universes to go in that heaven. And each of heaven, like, you get what I'm saying about that. And in each heaven, whatever the character is in heaven, like giving you guys an example of CU universe, like when they die, they get to go to that heaven, and if we die, we get to go to that heaven. The My Little Pony characters that die, they get to go to that heaven, and same thing with the other dimensions of the other characters. Is what I'm saying. Like, our heaven, Steven Universe's heaven, My Little Pony's heaven, and all the other character universes' heavens are still part of their world. Is what I'm saying about so what I'm saying about the Alicorn goddess, it is part of still like their goddess is what I'm saying. Part of their world is their goddess, and she is nice as our God, and she is nice as Jesus in our world. Like, our God, same thing as our world. Like, I don't have to say our world every time. You guys get what I'm saying about our world, and you guys get what I'm saying every time about their world when I'm not mentioning about their world. You get what I'm saying about that? Okay. But now, getting back to after Clandestine was saying about sending him back to Equestria, that sentence. Flurry Heart then nodded her head, and then Clandestine is going on his way to Equestria to finish his job. So then we get to Twilight going into the place going to the castle where she is well, actually, her praying in the castle during one of the 2 scenes ago where she's praying is all them, like, where she's going, like, the place, I'm sorry, what I meant to say was, not only I meant to say that, it's, like, the place where she's praying in, but the place where she and, Drakus were praying in is part of that castle where Twilight is at as well. Like, almost every room, like, where you see Twilight in the movie is in the castle. So, yeah, she was praying in the castle. And, again, when she's on her way to the castle again, or like, when after she's meeting the people that love her, there's, we get to introduce, the older Spike. And the second time we get to see him after the future episode. Whatever you call it, a muscular Spike. I don't have time to look up all this at once in the story, but the older Spike, as as her advisor, was saying hello to Twilight as they were going in, and as Twilight has everyone meeting them and making, like, showing her some new stuff of what they had discovered, and even Spike himself was showing gemstones, and Drakus was sitting next to Twilight, and on the left side, while Spike is sitting next to Twilight on the right side, and Drakus is I would say protege, but not really. No, I'm not saying not really, because Twilight would never have a maid of honor. She would always do this alone and work about this alone with advisors and guards, and yeah. But as I am saying that well, before about this, like I said before, it's the universe. They don't have advisors. They do this alone. They would do this alone. They would just have guards working with them. But same thing with My Little Pony, but they have a little bit advisors, and Generation 5, they do the same thing, which I will get to that in my future stories. But right now, as of this story I'm talking about, that's what they are doing in Generation 4, that the guards that work at only the guards that work at the castle, not the guards that work at the prison. The guards that work at the castle works with Twilight along with the whatever advisor to Twilight like Spike, and even I would say a protege to Twilight is Dracus is being not trying to be. She is most likely a protege to Twilight, like Starlight Glimmer in the past. I don't know if Starlight Glimmer is still her protege in the past or not, because she is now a princess, but I mean, well, she could still have proteges, but the previous proteges, or at least one previous protege, because I did not watch the entire Generation 4 series, like, she was not a princess at that time. Well, actually, no, she is a princess, but she was not a ruler at that time, is what I'm saying. And, oh yes, what I was trying to say is that Starlight Glimmer is retired, and she might have been possibly the only protege to Twilight, or I would say, or maybe Sunburst as well, but was her protege, but they retired, and they most likely retired, probably to be proteges, or maybe still being your protege, whatever, but they work at the school currently. I mean, not currently, because they're all dead. Almost all of them are dead now, but except for most likely Discord that is still alive. But I'm saying at that time they work. Sunburst and Starlight Glimmer are working at the school. Anyway, getting back to the scene to talk about they get to show her a lot of stuff, and Spike shows her the gemstones, like I said before, and they had found the gemstones from the Crystal Empire because Florrie Hart also needs them for her power, and Twilight would say stuff like she would not accept wait, I don't know why I'm saying that. I don't know why I'm saying that I don't know why I'm not saying it as a quote. I don't know why I'm saying that's what she would say. Like she said that she would not accept it. I meant to say something like this: I will not accept I would not accept this treasury, Spike. That's what Twilight would say something like to her advisor, and then Spike says something like this: Florrie Hart is no friend of Equestria, Princess. The more gems I take from her, the safer you will be. Or the more gemstones I take from her, the safer you will be. Either one of them, and it doesn't have to be either one of them. It could be different, and something like that, like all the other quotes in this movie. You guys get what I'm saying? Okay. Now, after he said the safer you will be, that sentence, Twilight was then saying this: well, a political advisor. And, yeah, she said something like this: well, a political advisor. And as, after that scene that was happening, and there was possibly there were other stuff that happened in that scene, like the movie Elizabeth the Golden Age, but I don't know about that, but still it happened in that scene. But the next scene after the introducing stuff to Twilight is the assassins, that one of the assassins betrayed them and was on Spike's side, and this assassin named Butcher, who is desperately, really impatient to kill Twilight. Butcher is like saying this, like the movie: "You traitor! You work with Spike. You traitor!" Something like that. Well, he didn't say "you traitor" twice, but, he didn't just say "you traitor" twice, but still say, but possibly, the Anthony Babington, or the different name of Babington in Elizabeth the Golden Age, because they have different names in the Golden Age. Then they have different names than they have different names than some of them have different names than the real life historical figures. But what I'm saying is Anthony, or let's just go with Babington and Elizabeth the Golden Age was saying this, that say he might have said traitor twice, but this character Butcher would say as much times as the as Babington, but a little bit different than Babington, and they would take him over. They would take in the traitor over, the traitor of them, and the leader, clandestine. Did I say that right? Clandestine. I was trying to say it right. Without looking up, but yeah, it's clandestine. Clandestine. Uses his changeling magic to obliterate the changeling traitor, and then we get to the next scene where they clandestine ask for forgiveness to the Alicorn goddess for the death of their traitor, and yes, while the other changelings were praying for their forgiveness as well. And, but while they were praying, Butcher gets up and says this: "The traitor's dead. We must act. Why do we not strike? What are we waiting for?" And then, a few seconds later, Clandestine says this: "We wait for my order. Spike knows too much already. One traitor is dead. Who can I trust now?" And he looks at Archie, another changeling who is actually a friend to Spike. Like when Clandestine is looking at Archie, that gave Clandestine an idea, and that shows, and then which and then we get to the next scene where this is actually based on. Well, I was actually going to the scene where that's based on where the brother of Francis Walsingham and Walsingham are walking with each other. Like I was about to do Spike and I was about to do the scene with Spike and Archie walking with each other to go and talk. To go up to the dragon's place, but I'll get to that scene later. But I decided to have this next scene, which is based on the deleted scene of there's a Mary Stuart's deleted scene where the noble jailer shows up, and this scene based on the deleted scene. I decided to add this in the movie where Yona saying, it doesn't have to be just Yona, of course, because the friends would say most stuff as well. Sandbar and Yona's friends would say a lot of stuff as well. Smolder, I would say Smolder, say something like this: "Look, guys, it's Gallus." And, oh, that's my stomach growling. Gallus shows up and, Sandbar, Smolder says that, well, after Gallus shows up, and like she says that sentence, "Look, it's Gallus," something like that, and Gallus shows up. Sandbar says this: "Oh, it is my noble jailer Gallus. Have you come to smack my hoof?" And Gallus is saying this: "No, but I would rather kiss it," and he kissed Sandbar's hoof. And Sandbar says this: "I still don't trust you." And then Gallus is saying, "No, please. We're still friends, Sandbar. I'm just doing my job, alright? After all, you were the one who still had been doing all this crime stuff." And Sandbar saying, "Oh, so I was right all along. You're still not on my side." And Gallus says, "I'm always on your side." And Sandbar said this: but you're still agreeing to the others about what I did. And yes, I understand what I did, but you still cannot say that stuff to me, and I cannot let you be on my side over saying about what I did. And then Gallus would make a song like Gallus and Gallus, Sandbar, and four of their other friends in prison would sing a song together by Gallus saying that he's trying to get to Sandbar being on his side and beg him to be on his side again, like just to be friends with him again. But Sandbar refuses to, but he begs him to, and then around the end of the song he trusts him and as the song ends, Gallus was like this. All right, I gotta get back to work, guys. I'll be right back, and especially you, Sandbar. And they all say bye to him, and Gallus leaves, and the next scene. Now this is where we get to the scene where Spike is walking with Archie to see the dragon family of Spike, and they go and talk with each other. And Archie is friends with Spike, but guess what? I'm sorry for saying this earlier, but to let you guys know, Spike knows what Archie is doing, and he knows that Archie does not mean to plot to kill Twilight and plot to kill Spike. And that was Archie's job, to try and kill Spike, but Archie does not know that Spike knows yet. But Clandestine was right. I did not mean to say clandestine. I meant clandestine was right over saying Spike knows too much already. One traitor is dead. Like that sentence, what he was saying. I did not mean to say one traitor is dead. Like that's just what the character said. That's just what Clandestine said, anyway, as I was saying, they were talking, and they were talking in normal at dinner, with dragons were eating dinner while Archie and Spike were talking. And that same scene, when earlier in that scene they were walking to Spike's family, is what I was trying to say. So after that dragon dinner scene, we get to where Dracus is with Twilight, and Twilight is saying that Dracus. Sorry, I don't know if I just say this earlier. Twilight would say something like this: Dracus. Not only that I care for Spike and like him. That's the notification on my other phone. But you guys can still hear me, right? Saying not only that I care for Spike, but I also sometimes fall in love with him. And Dracus agrees with that, but you guys will find out what will happen later. And some of you guys will know what will happen in the movie later. But anyways, when I'm saying sorry over like what I was trying to say, like what I forgot to say, even though I do not say sorry and stuff, you guys still get that that the characters still say something like almost. Like, I still say almost exact words of what the characters are saying. That's what I meant to say. Not them saying the almost exact words. I meant me saying the almost exact words. Not the characters saying the almost exact words. You guys get what I'm saying? Alright. But anyways, not while Twilight. That's what I was about to say. I meant to say, what I was trying to say is, getting back to the scene where, not while Twilight, after Twilight talks about I meant to say after Twilight. After Twilight talks about her kind of lover Spike. We get to the next scene of the celebration of get to have a party of them honoring this of many years of Twilight's ruling. I wouldn't say many years because it's been like probably a decade because and like I said before, this is a few years after Luster Dawn started her journey with Luster Dawn's own friends. And getting back to what we were talking about, getting what I mean is getting back to what we were talking about the scene of the celebration of her years of ruling. They would give her gifts and stuff, and oh yeah, Spike had not his own song because they were singing with him as well. Actually, it would be his own song, yeah, because it's him mostly singing. He sings about the celebration and showing Twilight some surprises, and they all sing together. Even Twilight singing together in that song, and after the song is over, the party continues. The party continues, and Spike Spike first talks to, like, this is his first time talking to Dracus. He's fallen in love with her, and even falls in love with her during the times he has not talked to her yet, and even sitting, Twilight sitting between Dracus and Spike, they still have not talked to each other yet, but at this scene, this is when they finally get to talk to each other. Spike is like, well, in the conversation, whatever they would say, what I can say, all I could say of what I can say in this video. Not everything that happens, like I said in every episode, every movie I do, like not every episode movie that I say happens in this video. I'm just saying in this video what I'm talking about in this video, and like what I'm mentioning in this video, like what I'm mentioning in the past videos and this video. You guys get what I'm saying, and mentioning and will mention about the other stuff, and will mention about the other stuff in the future videos. But oh, if I did not say this clearly, I also meant not only not only just later in the future videos, but later in this video of talking about of mentioning a lot more stuff. But what I'm saying is all I can mention is that Spike would say something like this in a conversation. I don't whatever the exact words, like Walter Raleigh and Elizabeth the Golden Age, Spike would say something like this. I don't even know your name. And Dracus says her name, and like I said before in the conversation they had, they still said this other stuff in the conversation even when I did not mention it. So yeah, I mean, even when I did not mention them is what I'm saying. I did not mean to say it. I meant mention them, like the few stuff they said in the conversation. But after that scene, after the celebration scene, Twilight is with her guards, or no, I don't know about guards, but whatever. But Dracus is with her most likely. I mean, no, Dracus is with her. That's what I know. Dracus is with her, and that's in the next scene. And Spike summons himself in, and he decides to have Twilight come to have a little talk, and because Twilight and Spike had fallen in love with each other, and Spike sings another song to Twilight, and Twilight, they both sing a song to each other, like having their own relationship with each other, but later at the end of the song, Twilight says this metaphor to Spike, now you grow dull, after these poems that he has. Oh yes, there were poems in that song too. Like, he had good poems, and then it later turned into bad poems, and then Twilight just says, now you grow dull. And he walks away from Spike. like "Now You Grow Dull" was the last were the last words in that song, and Twilight leaves Spike, and Spike would have to try hard later, um, to think of other ideas. Well, when I'm saying bad poems, I'm not being mean to Spike by saying that. I'm just saying that's what they're called. But anyway, um, the next scene, Spike and Twilight flying of their departure adventure. Twilight's like, "Well, come on, Spike," and like just to have fun, and and as they were flying down, they see the guards and that work with Twilight. When I'm usually saying work with Twilight, when I'm usually saying working with Twilight, when I'm usually saying the guards working with Twilight, I meant no, not usually, not usually. I meant all the time when I'm saying they work with Twilight. I meant the ones that working at the castle, the ones that are not the prison guards, because the prison guards are not working with Twilight. So what I'm saying about in this scene where the guards stopping Twilight, like Twilight's guards that are working with her, they stop Twilight and Spike, and Twilight, after Twilight and Spike fly down, they just because there's danger happening. There's still plotting. There's still plots going on happening, and which they tell her off camera, and because like after what I'm saying is they tell her about this off camera about what's going on, and in the next scene, what I'm trying to say is in the next scene is like we get back to the assassin squad and the changelings assassin squad, whatever you call it. Like it's not a nickname of the team of anything. It's just a group of changeling assassins, and Clandestine has this letter to prepare for. Like he's almost done with the letter. He walks out and just writes down the last bit of the letter, saying this: Sendbar is our high enterprise. And or whatever, not something most likely not something almost exactly like Elizabeth the Golden Age, not Mary Stuart's our high enterprise, not like Sandbar's our high enterprise, not like Sandbar's our high enterprise, like Mary Stuart is our high enterprise. I meant Sandbar is our boss, is our highest authority group of assassins telling us what to do. Something like that, what he's saying. Not like Mary Stuart is our high enterprise. I know that's not what he exactly said in that Elizabeth the Golden Age movie, but you guys get what I'm saying, right? I mean the one that Clandestine is based on is what he's saying. That I forgot his name. I forgot what this guy's name is in what this guy's name is in Elizabeth the Golden Age, but he said that the high enterprise, that guy, but instead Clandestine says something different, that Sandbar is our highest authority, whatever he's saying about whatever he says, some of the words like that. Clandestine is saying some of the words like that, and then he says this: make sure he and only he reads this. The order must be given clearly. And that's what he was saying. The order must be given clearly to he's saying that to Butcher because he's willfully impatient. And then we get to the next scene where Sandbar, during the nighttime, Sandbar writes a reply. Is writing a reply to he's writing a reply to Clandestine after he sent that reply to Sandbar, and Yona comes to Sandbar and says something like this: it's Gallus again. Here comes Gallus, something like that, and And Sambar says something like this: "My noble jailer Gallus, am I in danger to Equestria even when I pray?" That's what Sambar would say, something like that. He would say something like that. If I say would not and wasn't, I meant to say would say. I meant to say would say. I meant to say would say. You guys get what I'm saying? Alright. After Sambar said something like that, Gallus would say something like, "My protection is for your safety," something similar to Elizabeth the Golden Age lines of Aeneas Paulet. And yeah, Aeneas Paulet in Elizabeth the Golden Age is what. If I, just in case if I did not say Elizabeth the Golden Age, I would possibly say that again just in case. I mean, I don't know why I'm saying would. I possibly say that again just in case if I did not say that earlier in the several seconds ago. But after about this safety, my job is for your safety. Something about that line of something. I was about to say. Wait, what am I about to say? I meant to say that's what Gallus would say. Something like, "My job is for your safety and your protection," something like that. And Sambar would say something like this to Gallus: "I pray for Princess Twilight. I pray for my friend. I pray for my friend Twilight." Something like that. Like like something like that. And he turns his head to Gallus and says this: "Do you think she prays for me?" Like he says, I'm gonna do this again. Sambar is mostly looking at the window or just closing eyes and just thinking while saying stuff to Gallus, and Sambar is saying, like, only in that scene he's closing his eyes while doing that. Sambar, like I said before, he says something like this: "I pray for my friend Twilight," and he turns his head to Gallus. "Do you think she prays for me?" He said, "Do you think she prays for me?" after turning his head to Gallus, and then Gallus answers to Sambar or not off camera. In this next scene, we get to have Twilight talking with Dracus about the relationship still going on with the relationship with Twilight and Spike, and I meant the relationship of Twilight. I meant the relationship of Twilight and Spike, not the relationship with Twilight and Spike. It's just the two of them. It's just Spike and Twilight. But anyway, as I said before, the scene of Twilight talking about the relationship with her and Spike, like she's saying, like I said before, she's saying that to Dracus. The next scene is where we get to a friend. Who is it? Another changeling friend, but it's not a friend to Spike. It's a friend to Dracus. Dracus comes to the house. The house of Dottie. Dottie is another changeling. Dottie is a shy name, or like I came up with that. Dottie was saying something like this: "Oh, thank goodness you're here. You gotta help me. You gotta help me, Dracus." And Dracus saying, I cannot really help you. What's going on here?" Saying something like that. Like, "I cannot really help you. I don't want to get myself in trouble." No, she would not say something. She would not say what's going on like Elizabeth Throckmorton in Elizabeth the Golden Age. But Dracus would say something similar, like saying the similar things like what Elizabeth Throckmorton would say. But after a few conversations was going on, Dottie was saying something like this: "Can you help me, please?" And something like that. And then, but we cut to the next day where Dracus is walking away, and Dottie was saying something like this: Why will you not help us, Dracus? They will kill us because Dottie is part of the plant. Is part of the assassin squad. He's part of the team of the assassin. What? Like, you get what I'm saying about the assassin team of the assassin changeling team. He was there every scene with the changeling team. I mean, almost every scene in the changeling team. Wherever you see the cousin, he's based on the cousin of Elizabeth Throckmorton. Whenever you see the scenes of Elizabeth Throckmorton's cousin, whatever his name was, whatever the cousin's name is, that's how many scenes of that's how many scenes of when Dottie has shown up in this movie. So after that scene of Draco, I was about to say Dracofish. I meant to say after Dottie was saying its sentence about why will you not help us, they will kill us. That sentence. The next scene is where Dracus is walking up the hallway to the room where Twilight and Spike are having a conversation together, and after the conversation they look and see that Dracus is here, and whatever they were talking about, they said something similar like Elizabeth the Golden Age, but I forgot about it. Possibly about the cousin, I don't know, but I mean, not. I'm not saying that the cousin to Dracus, because remember, Dottie is a changeling, and Dracus is a dragon, so they're not related. But it's probably about Dottie, like based on the cousin of Elizabeth Throckmorton. But after that scene, the guards had came in and they arrested Dottie, and he was freaking out, and whenever he was talking about like he was saying no don't get me like not me, something like that. No, I don't think he would say don't get me like something. I don't think he would say the similar words like don't get me or not. He didn't say. Elizabeth Throckmorton's cousin did not say no, don't get me. Like he didn't say all those words together, but he did say no, like something like that. The cousin would say something like that, but Dottie would say something similar, like the cousin. Well, when I meant cousin, I meant Elizabeth Throckmorton's cousin, like Elizabeth Throckmorton's. I meant Elizabeth Throckmorton's cousin in Elizabeth the Golden Age. But anyway, after Dottie was arrested, it was taken into the interrogation, but unlike in real life and Elizabeth the Golden Age movie where they torture them, they do this nicely like nowadays in a police room, like a police interrogations where they get to, like nowadays where they have the criminal just to talk, but they don't mean to be mean, but they're trying to get the answers. Same thing like what Spike is doing. He's doing this nicely like the police officers interrogating the nowadays people in our world. Spike is, and oh yes, the guards are there too with Spike. Spike and the guards try to get Dottie to talk, and he says that, well, Twilight is gonna kill you anyway, so you better tell us the truth. I'm sorry. Like, he's saying I'm sorry, but Twilight's gonna kill you anyway, so you better tell the truth to us. Something like that, what Spike is saying. And then Dottie was telling the truth about the Enterprise of Equestria. That's what it is, the Enterprise of Equestria. That he explains about the Enterprise of Equestria to Spike, and then the next scene, Twilight is saying to... Oh yes, actually, what I forgot to talk about is that the guards, the Crystal Empire guards, were there during the greeting, not just greeting, but the showing stuff to Twilight. They were there and they were mad over Spike having the gemstones, and they were gems and gemstones is the same thing, but they got mad over Spike having the gemstones, and in the hallway they were the leader of the. I don't know if the guards are becoming the leader of their own guards. Like if Twilight has a leader, if Twilight has a leader guard of like the leader guard of the guards, the leader of the guards, the leader guard of the guards that work at the castle, and the leader guard of the guards working at the castle, and same thing as there's possibly a leader guard of the guards working at the castle, and there's possibly a leader crystal guard of the crystal guards of the Crystal Empire. It's not crystal guards, but or maybe I don't know, but they in the hallway I was talking about after finding out about the gemstones. The next scene they were saying about their ruler Flurryheart is angry, but Spike ignores them and ignores the guards and the other and they were also there during the celebration scene of the ruling, the celebration of her ruling for the past years. I mean, no. It is past years, yes, but what I meant to say, like it's possibly most years, possibly little years, like that's what I was trying to say, yeah. But but that's the scenes where the Crystal Guards were showing up. But all I'm saying is that Twilight is getting to the possibly the not ruler, the leader of the guards of the Crystal Guards. She was saying to that Crystal Guard saying this or whatever, like sir, and he saying, and Twilight would say sir, something like that to that leader, possibly leader, and the possible leader said this to Twilight. The possible, he was saying this, and when I'm saying leader, I mean the Crystal leader. Yeah, the Crystal Guard leader. Yeah, that's what I meant to say. I meant to say Crystal Guard leader whenever I say leader. The leader said this after Twilight says something like this. I'm gonna do this again. Twilight says this to the leader. Says something like this, sir, and the leader guard of the Crystal Guard said this. So he said something like this. Yes, Your Majesty, or yes, Twilight, yes, Princess Twilight, because they go as Princess Twilight, because that's what Twilight wants them to say, because they don't have to say Majesty like what Flurryheart would do during a few years earlier, But the leader Crystal Guard, possibly leader Crystal Guard, said this. Yes, Princess Twilight, and Twilight said this to the possible leader. She said this. What do you know about the enterprise of Equestria? And the possible leader said this. I know about that, Princess Twilight. I never heard of it. And Twilight saying this. Let's see. There is a war going on. There's assassins trying to kill me. Sambar is to be set free, and I'm to be her daughter is to be placed on the throne, and I'm to be placed on the throne to be assassinated. I don't mean to say placed on the throne to be assassinated. It sounds something like that, like what Elizabeth said in Elizabeth the Golden Age. But I know that Elizabeth did not say I'm to be placed on the throne to be assassinated. Or maybe. It just sounds something like that. I know you guys saying it. No, it does not sound like that, but that's just my own view of that's just my thoughts of what it sounded like. That's just my possible misunderstood of Elizabeth saying that in Elizabeth the Golden Age. But it's something like that, something similar like what Twilight was saying, and it doesn't have to be placed on the throne to be assassinated. Like, if Elizabeth actually said that, then Twilight did not actually... Actually, let's just go with Twilight did not say those exact words like Elizabeth saying, I'm going to be placed on the throne to be assassinated. Twilight is actually saying this, saying her daughter is placing on the equestrian throne after I'm assassinated. after I'm assassinated, something like that. And Twilight said this to the leader guard. Does any of this sound familiar to you? And the guards did something true about Twilight, and they had arguments with each other, and as they were trying to attack, Twilight makes them stop attacking and tells them to leave at once, something like that, and they leave. Like I mean, after he tells her what's going to happen, the leader guard tells Twilight what's going to happen, and he leaves, and Twilight possibly said something back to him after what I found out about Elizabeth, the Golden Age, where Elizabeth talks back saying, "I too command the wind, sir," something like, and then I have the heartbeats, a great berry betrayed, like something like that. I don't think Twilight would talk back to the guard because she's probably more nicer. But as a ruler, like her killing a lot and imprisoning a lot, as a ruler, your behavior becomes a little bit different. You get what I'm saying? But her behavior is not and is not entirely like Elizabeth, but most likely Elizabeth. Um, Please excuse that if I made a mistake by saying if I accidentally said that she acts a little bit like Elizabeth. Please excuse that. Please excuse if I accidentally said that she acts a little bit like Elizabeth. But I know there's two Elizabeth Throckmorton and Elizabeth the First. I meant Elizabeth the First is what I'm talking about, because that's what Twilight is based on. That's who Twilight is based on. So, so after that scene, I mean, they're still on the scene, after that scene of them, after that scene of the Crystal Guards walking away back to the Crystal Empire, Twilight then walks away. We get to the next day where Twilight walks away, like shows in a distance of her walking away. Now, sometimes you get scenes of in the movie of the distant scenes based on the distant scenes of Elizabeth the Golden Age, where especially when Elizabeth the First is walking around, and yeah, well, as I'm saying, Twilight walks in the distance, walks around, and the next scene we see Twilight in the hallway, and said to Spike, I don't know if the next scene if you say that, but when they say next scene, they mean either another place or cut to the other person talking the conversation, or other cuttings, like cut to next person that's not talking like that. But what I'm saying is it's based on where Elizabeth walks to Walter Raleigh saying, "What are you staring at? Lower your eyes. I'm the queen. You're not my equal servant, sir. You never will be."